Hola, hello, good evening, good night, happy Thursday.
Turn up Thursday night.
Ah! It has been quite an eventful week between our two countries. It has been something. But other than that, how was your week been, Twin?
Week's been good. I'm happy that tomorrow's Friday.
Amen.
This week was it's a busy week. This work
Amen.
busy. Nothing related personal. Like personal life is good, but work has been crazy. But good though. Job security. You know what I'm saying? But all's well.
I love that. I love that for you. Work has been busy for me as well. I took a mental health slash sick day on Monday, which I think I deserved because I literally came right back from vacation and went straight to work and worked like 11 hours the next day. So you know what? That was the Lord saying I needed to rest, and rest I did. But I am also happy it is about to be Friday because work for me is also super busy. This is like our busy season before our award show. And so there is a lot happening. Speaking of award shows, did you win? Well, win. Did you watch the Oscars by any chance?
Nah, I'm not a no. Mm.
I haven't for years, but decided to watch it. I think the Oscars kept me company because I was also braiding my hair, and so it was I was able. There were definitely some moments on there, but anyways, we move on. So tonight, I guess I am on the hot seat. You said you would have some questions for me tonight because we are talking relationships part two. Before we get into those questions, however, as we wait for a few more people to join, I want to say on behalf of the FYF family to Angie Stone's family, rest in peace to Angie Stone. It is quite a loss, I think, for the Black community, no matter what side of the border you are on. I was stunned to hear about the way we lost Angie Stone. And there were some fun facts that interestingly came out when she passed away. I did not know Angie Stone sang the Girlfriends song. My girlfriend. Sorry, Angie, I'm like butchering the song, but she sings the Girlfriend song.
I didn't know that neither. And
I did not know that either. So, once people pass away, all of a sudden people pull up these fun facts. I ended up Googling it, and it was right there. It was sang by Angie Stone. So, rest in peace to Angie Stone. You know what? You will definitely be missed. Your voice will be missed. And, peace and blessings to her family. Other things in the news before we jump into the show, US and Canada and Mexico are at war. Really, the US and Canada are at war over tariffs. The tariffs were on, now the tariffs seem to be off. It's been an interesting time between our two countries and some strong words, I guess, from our leaders. Just know, Canada, we love you, Americans, as Canadians. It is your leader that we have issues with, but I digress. So please stand with Canada because we do love you, Americans, but your leader, God bless you all.
I know
God
that's
bless
right.
America.
I mean, come
God.
on. Y'all see the love we got between USA and Canada right here. So our connection is good. So we're gonna let our president dictate how USA and Canada communicate and talk to each other because we ain't got no beef over here. So
That part,
uh,
no beef at all. We are good. So now I am ready for the hot seat. So last week we talked relationships, and I had some questions for twins, and of course the fellas in the chat because the fellas are the ones that show up for this show. So now I'm a bit on the hot seat, and twins is going to ask me some questions. I hope you got them prepared. I don't think I'm prepared, but I will come up with the answers on the fly about women in relationships and what some of the things that we consider at each stage of the relationship. Are you ready for me? Because I'm ready.
oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. So they may be both sides. Maybe it might be a question from the relationship, like girlfriend, well, boyfriend relationship versus
Hmm.
the husband part. So not
Okay.
in order, but I got questions.
Okay,
So
I'm ready.
question that we had from the fellas to you,
Oh, okay,
or
I'm ready.
if there's any ladies that's in the chat, we'll definitely love to have y'all. input as well. I know it's early, it takes a minute for the chat to get fired up, but it's all good. So, first question I have for you today. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
Oh, he got it. Okay, he's really prepared. Yeah, all right, I'm ready. Okay, I lean back. It's just,
I'll be ready. All right. So, this will be at the beginning stages. Okay. So,
okay.
we won't skip past the introduction, either how y'all met, either through friends, y'all met somewhere online, whatever. So we at the first date now, right? The first
Okay.
date, we at the table, you sitting down, I'm sitting down, right? And we seen each other first. I mean, of course, I know in your
Okay.
case, you do a lot of FaceTime, so you see them
Mm-hmm.
there. But it's that in person
Yeah.
reaction. So what is the first thing that comes into your mind when you like either y'all walk in together, or he meet you at the car, or maybe you're already inside already? What is that first reaction when you first see each other, or when you
For
see?
me, okay, I'll speak for me, but I think it probably generally is for all ladies. It's going to be physical attractiveness, right? Like we have eyes, and so it's that physical attractiveness, and I think as the date goes on, it's whether there's chemistry that lacks. Because I can be physically attracted to you, but for some reason we simply don't have chemistry. So the first thing I'm going to look at is physical attractiveness, and then throughout the night, I want to assess whether there's chemistry between.
Okay. That's fair. So hmm, now you're having the communication in person.
Okay.
Everything's
Mhm.
different over the phone and FaceTime. Now we in person.
Amen.
So when you're at the table and you're having a conversation, right? And of course, you may be talking for a minute, so they may be a little comfortable, between each other, but may not. Still a little bit awkwardness. So, what are some things that you look for when you are having this conversation in person? So now I'm in front of you and I'm talking to you, looking at you, looking at me, I'm looking at you, looking at me. We got the drinks already, food already coming. But before food gets there, what are we? What are the cues that you looking at? Like, what exactly are you looking at that time frame? Like, okay, is he really about what he's saying, or is he, what I'm saying? What's going through your mind?
I think one of the things, I mean, you just made me do it, and sense of humor. I want to see if there's a bit of banter. I like a good banter. Like, I don't want, I don't personally like a serious date. Yes, we are there to assess each other. Yes, we all know it's almost like a job interview. But I want to know if there's that banter back and forth. Do we get each other's humor? Like, are we able to have a flow of a conversation? Because like I said, we talk about communication is so important. Are we flowing, or is there moments where there's like silence? And honestly, I don't know if you've ever been in a restaurant and you see a couple and they're just eating, and this you can tell that there's like just silence between them and they're just waiting for the dinner to be over. I don't want to experience that type of date. I want the date where we're flowing back and forth, we're having great banter. I'm asking questions, he's asking questions. I am looking at whether or not you're asking me questions. As much as we probably talked over the phone and other things, are you interested in finding out more about me? Did you notice certain things? Did you remember something that I might have said earlier? Now that we're in person, you're following up on it. Like, I like that kind of back and forth banter. Are we interrupting each other when we talk, right? Is there some excitability when we talk to each other? Or is it just like mellow and we're just going through the motions? So I'm assessing really all of that as we communicating, and that nonverbal communication as well, right? Because again, that's where a lot of the chemistry comes in. There's what I'm saying, and there's how my body's reacting. Is he leaning in? Am I leaning in? Are we touching each other? Right? Because that, and I'll just give fellas a hint, when we start touching you throughout a date, we like you. So it might be on the shoulder or the hand or something like that. It's because we want to close the physical distance between us. So it's not, you might not lean in for a kiss, but we'll laugh and hit your hand, or something will happen. So those are the things that I do. Hopefully that answered the question.
Okay. And so, how soon that right? Like, at what point do you know, yeah, it's gonna be a short night, or you know what, there's maybe more to this guy? At what point do you know?
Oh, that is a good question. I know based on the flow of conversation, and And at my big age, like a long night could be a night of intimacy, or a long night could be that we are taking the a next date, like we're having another date after the initial date. Now, me, I'm not, just to put that out there, guys, I'm not having sex with you on the first date. I have sex when I'm in a relationship, but I digress. But for me, I know whether that banter, do I want it to continue? Because you can only stay in a restaurant. Anything after an hour and a half, you're not sticking around the restaurant, 2 hours at the most. So if we want the date to continue, are we going to go on a walk or different things? Are we going to drive around? Whatever the case might be, go to a movie, who knows? I know based on the banter and whether we are both in a place where it's almost like we don't want this night to end. But I've also been on dates where I cannot wait for it to end, and so I am over it. So it depends on the banter.
All right. So we're past the date. We've been on multiple dates now,
Yeah.
right? All
Okay.
right. So now, what point are you in your mind considering, like, you know what, I might want to be in a relationship with this guy? At what point do you feel comfortable enough to think that part? Like, you ready in your head
Um,
before he asks
I love
you?
that.
And my thing is, you don't know when he's going to ask, right? But
That is
in your mind,
true.
when are you mentally okay? He might be someone I might want to spend some time with. At what point?
Great question. And before I answer the question, I just got to alert everybody. So if you're leaving comments, I actually can't see them right now. Apparently, I'm having an issue with comments coming through. So if there are comments and I'm missing it, as you know, I normally put the comments up. If for some reason there seems to be an issue with StreamYard and getting comments. So twins, for any reason you see comments on your side, feel free to stop and address them because I can't see
Gotcha.
them online. Thank
Gotcha.
you so much. You know what? I love a man with a sense of humor. I love a man who can make me laugh. I love a man who I feel safe in his presence. That's really important to me, right? I know that there's a certain balance that I've achieved in my life. Um, and I don't want somebody to disrupt that balance. And I think it's almost similar to when men say, I want a woman that gives me peace, right? It's because you have a certain balance in your life. And once a woman comes in, if she disturbs that balance, that makes her not peaceful. It's not like you're expecting her to bring peace into your life where there is none. It's because you have peace already within because you have a certain balance and you want to make sure she doesn't take away from that. And I don't want to speak for men, but I will tell you that is for me, right? If I feel safe with you, if we've got a great banter, if we can laugh together about the silliest things. And when I feel like you are not disturbing my equilibrium because I've worked very hard over the last 45 years to put myself in a certain place, mind, body, spirit, soul, all of that stuff. There are some people, and I feel, ladies, we need to take this in. There are some men that our bodies physiologically reject. And I'm pausing for dramatic effect. There are some men, for whatever reasons, our bodies, but before we even have sex, because we'll get to the sex part later. Before we even have sex, there are certain feelings that our bodies. But if you feel a certain thing around a man, but you go on around another man and you feel at ease, it's your body actually reacting, telling you that for whatever reason that man is not good for you. If I feel those feelings, call me cuckoo, whatever. I'm just like, because I don't feel safe with you. I don't feel comfortable with you. I can't be myself with you. And the Toshiba, you guys see me on the show. I can be quirky. There's all of these different facets to me. And if I can't be myself in my full package around you, I can't be in a relationship with you.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. All right. So as we keep going at this point now, right?
As we
So,
proceed, to give you what
so
you need.
what you need, right? Right. All right. So, like I said, we're now leading towards, more of it into a serious relationship, right? Right. So, what are some things that you need to seal the deal for you to be fully, like I said, not we already know peace and all that stuff you just said before, but
Mhm.
what exactly that you need from your point of view or your side that make you be like, okay, I'm about to cut everybody off, I'm about to shut down my social medias, well, my dating apps, my whatever. what point? At what point are you ready to do that part when you with a certain guy? Yeah,
I'm
I'm asking all the tea. So if anyone who's dating you right now, I hope you're taking notes, girl. You're welcome. Go ahead.
assuming they're watching. I listen to if he starts having conversations and the word we and us are part of the discussion. It's very simple for me. Um, a man that is intentional about me because I let it be known to people. I am not here for just a good time. I'm here for a long time. I desire marriage dot again. Right? I desire commitment again. I desire cohabitation again. I'm not trying to just be somebody's companion, right? Like in your eulogy, it's not going to be we thank his companion. No, I want to be someone's wife and added a name to my last name. Sorry guys, I can't change my last name. I have to hyphenate it. Any man who's interested in marrying me, you'll know why. But yeah, like for me, I'm listening to those things because we can have all the fun in the world, we can have all the banter in the world, but if your conversation and you start talking and there's no we and there's no us and there's no even talk of long term, right? Like if it's March and we talk about maybe your birthday is in August, and when you're saying like me and the boys are going to do this for my birthday, and there's no talk about hey babe, so I'm thinking for my birthday, like I'm going to do something with the boys, but I think you and I could go on a trip. What does your schedule say? If there's no talk about that, that already tells me that he's just not interested in longevity with me, and that's cool. I'll go to the rest of the roster.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Next question here. When it comes to your business and your lifestyle, right? And I don't mean like shopping and stuff like that. I'm talking about things that you're into.
Mhm.
What is your take on the supportness of that? So when I say
Oh,
support this, I
yeah.
refer to like, you have books that you put out, right? You have shows that you're on, right? Not shows that you're on. Um, and what are your thoughts on the supportness of that from your possible future partner?
That is such a wonderful question. Because there is someone that I am currently dating who surprised me by sending me a picture of the fact that he had bought my books. He went and he bought, and not just bought them to support me, like he read them. So he read my books, and we were able to have conversations about the characters in the book. And he said that he felt that it was an insight into how I think, right? Because there's this side of me. He also happens to watch this show. I know that because he'll say, "Hey, I watched your show and great show," and then we will have conversations about stuff that we talked about on the show. I don't ask for that from someone, but the fact that someone went out and did that and wanted to get insight into me outside of the things that we discussed was an amazing thing. It was so good for me that my new book that I'm writing, I asked him to be one of my beta readers because he had actually taken the time to read my 6-part series. Um, and I am writing another 6-part series. And the fact that he got so much insight into me, I think he really started to understand that side of me. And so I asked him nicely to be my beta reader, and he accepted. So that meant a lot to me because there's people who go, "Oh, I Googled you, and I saw that you write books." But someone who actually took the time to read it without being prompted, and bought it. Because any guy I'm dating, if I have copies on my book, I'm like, yeah, sure, you can have copies on my shelf. But he was like, no, I want to buy your book, and he's like, even if I'm a beta reader for your book, I'm still gonna go and buy it once you publish it. So kudos to you if you're watching live or you watch the replay.
And I just want to interject here, ladies as well, with my partner there as well. I feel the same way, you know what I'm saying? If I tell you that I'm on shows, I do things, when you ask me, so how was the show? I said, I don't know. You tell me.
Ha!
You tell me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what I do,
I love that.
But you can sit here and watch Netflix and all the other TV show, Love is Blind, whatever it may be. Cool, cool, cool. But you can't watch an hour show, 45 minute hour show and see what I'm
I
talking
love
about.
it.
Just
Love
saying.
it.
So I like that. All right, moving
I'm
on.
gonna start using that one. I'm gonna steal that one from you. You tell me how the show was. Love it. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
ready. This is good. I'm good. I'm learning something, and I'm hopefully teaching something to the people out there in the audience.
Don't ask me for a recap. You tell me. You give me the recap. All right, all right. All right, back to you. You know what I'm saying? It's all about you this week. You know what I'm saying? It's all about you. Or anyway, so all right, all right. Okay. So now things are moving very well. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They're supportive of you. They're reading your books. You know, you have good conversation. They're learning you. All right. Now at this point, everything's moving smooth. Everything's good. Now, what are some things that could put a break to everything going on? What can be something that, hey, I might need to step back for a minute from you and just reevaluate things? Because I'm sure you might have a conversation about the don'ts, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so you make it very clear about the don'ts. Like, I don't like this, I don't like this. So you know, but everything's going great. But you had a conversation about the don'ts, but then all of a sudden they're doing it, and what happens at this point now?
Disrespect is my biggest deal breaker, followed by lies. And for me, disrespect is in your words and your actions. If I feel that you have, I'm gonna step back a bit. If at any time I have to tell a man, my daddy doesn't talk to me like that, and I have to say it more than once, we're done. Because to me, you've crossed a threshold that the man who helped to bring me into this world has never gotten to. And if I say it to you once and you continue to do it, to me, I'll give you one. Anytime after that, there's nothing to be said because you don't have emotional regulation or emotional awareness or just don't care enough. Especially any man who speaks to me will know within the first conversation, I'm a huge daddy's girl and rest in peace to my daddy. I'm actually sitting, he's passed away, but I've got something with my dad right in front of me that I see every single day because this is where I work. So every day when I work, I have my father right there in front of me. So I'm a huge daddy's girl, and I learned a lot about how a man is supposed to act and present himself from my father. And so I have the highest level of respect for not only for my father, but for men and black men in general. So if you ever get to a point where I feel like you're so disrespectful that I have to go there, that's an immediate like irks for me. Or if you ever feel as if you had to lie to me when telling the truth would have been so much easier, because that's another thing I articulate to men. Don't lie to me, even if you think something is going to hurt my feelings. Please tell me the truth because it's going to hurt more if you lie and I find out about it later. Because any trust that we were building, now we have to rebuild, and who knows how long that would take. So those are the two biggest things for me that would, make me step back.
Okay, makes sense. All right. So, at what point and what feeling, or when do you know as a woman that you're ready to either move in with a guy or move in with you?
Ooh.
At what point do you get to that part?
Oh, ain't no man moving in with me. So that we could, and my advice to men, never move in with a woman.
Message.
Because one day when her head or our head takes us and we want to tell you to take your shit and get out, we absolutely will, even if you pay all the bills in our house. We will happily tell you to get out when our head, is not right. So I would recommend you either have her move in with you or you guys keep your respective places or somehow and find a place together. But then I would just say to men, never ever move in with a woman. I digress. Um, I think it's one of those things where we get to the point where we know that the next natural transition is engagement and marriage. Again, I'm looking for those indications of longevity in the way he speaks. And for me, it like I've done the living together without marriage, and of course, twins, you and I have both been married before, so we've done the marriage living together. I'm not quite sure if I would do cohabitation before the engagement. I've done it that way before, and I've learned from my past mistake. I wouldn't wait till marriage. I think for me, because I do date long distance, and many of the men that I date are on your side of the border, and so at some point something would have to give, and it's very likely me having to move because the men that I date tend to have good careers and all of that stuff, and I have a little bit more flexibility because I work from home, but I think definitely the engagement, I would know that it's time to move in because I think we would want to live together really to see each other's habits because the engagement doesn't mean we necessarily get down the aisle, but it is a promise of marriage. So I think for me, that would be it because you would now be showing an indication of long term because me leaving, there's a lot that goes in between going across the border and living together, right? It isn't just me packing up and putting my stuff in a car. There's all these other matters that happen. So if he's serious, he'll want to, take the next step to do that, or we just continue to do a back and forth, one month on, 1 month off, that type of thing. So that is my answer.
All right, got it. And big shout out to King Cast Court in chat. Good evening to you as well. Good evening to
Yeah,
you.
I can't see. Sorry, everybody, I can't see Ish. There's an issue on my side, so I'm sorry I'm not seeing your comments. So Twins has got it tonight.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So, like I said, we already talking about the moving in part. So now let's go. Let's do a step back.
Ah, let's step back.
It may not be step back, but let me ask the question anyway. So at this point now, because we say we're already talking about possibly moving in or getting a place together, has
Uh-huh.
intimacy already been there, or intimacy is when does the intimacy steps in?
At my big age now, it's when we are in a relationship. Now, I don't have a 60, 30, 90-day rule. One of my blessings and curses is that I can be very spontaneous. And so I could be in a relationship in 10 days. I could be in a relationship in 100 days. I could be in a relationship in 6 months. Because again, the man is the one who determines the next step. So for me, it's when we're in that committed relationship because for me, that's when I feel the safest. And now I'm watching us, so I can't actually see some of the comments as they come in. I just put it on my own YouTube. But yeah, I feel to me, I can't feel safe with you until you are willing to commit to me because, and this is why ladies, like, we really need to get it together. And I'm talking directly to the ladies tonight. We really need to get it together. Being naked in front of a man is the most vulnerable I'll ever be. The only other time for me to be vulnerable is childbirth. So the man that has seen me in the most vulnerable position is my daughter's father. But outside of that, it's standing naked in front of a man for the first time. There is no other time that a woman feels more insecure about every spot and childhood spot and scrape on the knee or something on the elbow or is that tattoo like, oh, he might like we I will tell you, gentlemen, we get super like self-conscious that first moment. It doesn't matter how amazing 34 double D's be damn big ass, it is standing in front of that man naked. So why would I put myself in a position to be so vulnerable and so open with you when you haven't even exhibited to me that you want something long term with me? I'm good. No, thank you.
All right. Before I move to the next question, Minister is in the chat. He said, "What the
Okay,
hell?"
Mr.
He said it says 8:30 Central Time again. Just know
Sure.
it's always gonna be East Coast time, sir. East Coast.
We started at 9 o'clock. Nobody told you to join at 8. I know I put 9 o'clock on the thing. There's no way.
Yeah. So that's I guess he just got in the chat, or tuned into the show.
Oh, Mr.
Of
Mister.
Kingsport. sorry, King's Cast Court. My bad. My apologies. Got to zoom in. Old man eyes.
Yes.
He said he changes time zone every day.
Well,
And
that's not our problem because you're on the road.
you're right.
Sure.
And then King Cass said, appreciate the genuine conversation head on this. Thank you very much. Fortunately, guys, I don't have access to put the chat on the screen, so I apologize. So I gotta read them out. And she having a little technical problems.
Technical difficulties.
All right, back to the questions. All right, now. So once again, so we had a conversation about moving in, conversation about see. All right, so everything's been good up to the point, right? So now y'all moved in, right? Now everything's been great, A plus. What happens if the intimacy is trash? What happens?
I think if you have an emotional and mental connection first, you can get through that. Like he would have to have a teeny weeny tiny pee like, and there's nothing that can be done about the teeny tiny wee wee. So for me, you would have to have something that I just cannot use for me to be like, I've got a great man, I'm gonna throw this away. I think if you've got an amazing emotional mental connection, it means that should be able to communicate. I would try to in my best way communicate to him that with respect to our intimacy, I would really like to discuss how we can ensure that we're both getting what we want out of it and try to do that in the best way because despite what a lot of women think, I understand that men have sensitive feelings as well, and especially black men. I only date black men, so your manhood and your virility is part of the idea of being a black man. So I would never want to put it in a way that is upsetting to him or offensive to him, but I would want to do it in a way that I'm saying, "Hun, I would like us to work on this," and whatever that takes, right? If it's us watching porn, if it's us going to therapy or going to a class, maybe he has issues with intimacy in the past, and we need to talk to a therapist to break that down. And again, a lot of the times, a lot of women don't have those conversations with their men, but they have it with their girlfriends. We absolutely will tell our girlfriends if we've slept with a man and it's trash. You won't necessarily say to the man it's trash. And so if he's had sex with, 40 women before me and I'm the first one saying it to him, it might take him a second to like really take in what I'm saying. But again, if we have built that intimacy on other levels, I definitely think we can work on it. Now, if I say it to him, and he is again disrespectful, which is my deal breaker, or he just ignores it. At this point, if you're not willing to meet me halfway, nothing I can do, sir.
King's Cast said, "Tiny pee, that's wicked." Emotional damage.
Minuscule.
Moving on. Okay. All right. So now, like I said, now I might be going back and forth a little bit here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So at what point, when do you have the conversation about finances?
Before we even get to moving in, there is no way I would be moving in with a man and I didn't disclose that information, whatever that information might be, whether it's related to credit score or loans or bankruptcies or payment plans I'm on or whatever the case might be, right? And the same for him. I don't think we should ever get into a position where we're co-mingling finances if we haven't had the discussion. And ladies, commingling finances, just so ladies understand, does not mean that you're going 50-50. Commingling finances is you being in the same home and you are contributing to that home in some way, shape, or form. That is commingling finances. Planning for the future. If you may not have a joint account at that point, but you are commingling finances. Like, one of the discussions, the gentleman and I are dating, we had a conversation and, we're not officially in a relationship, but we were talking about limits on spending. And, we both believe, or at least, I said to him, for me, when I get married again, I believe that as a couple, it is important to put a limit on how much money one of us can spend without having a discussion with the other person. So those are the types of discussions you should be having. And you're laughing because I feel like there's some stuff going on in the chat that I cannot see right now. So I will pause there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the chat minister said you thought he had a Teletubby, but he actually had a Beanie Baby.
Listen, I had that experience once, and yeah, I'm not gonna put that man. Yeah, it was awful. Not all black men are packing, and God bless them. I pray for the woman he is now married to.
Man,
Emotional and mental connection. That's all. Emotional and mental connection they definitely have because he is a beanie baby. I digress. But yes, back to finances. I feel like I think for me at this big age, by the time you're talking about getting into a committed relationship, you should be having a conversation about finances, right? Like when you guys travel together, that has to be a thought, right? Like, so if we travel together, do I have enough to buy my own ticket? So again, gentlemen that I'm currently dating, we're taking a trip together to go to Miami. He's paid for everything but my flight. I need to buy my flight to get there. Well, if I don't have the savings or the money or a credit card or whatever to buy my, $250, $300 flight, it might be something he wants to know because he's spending thousands. Like we have quite the itinerary. We're going to a Miami Marlins game on a Saturday, and then we're going to a Miami Heat game on the Sunday. And he's paying for the hotel, and we're going to fancy dinners and probably live nightclub while we're there. It's thousands of dollars. So if I'm looking at this man and saying, well, sorry, babe, I also need, in addition to what you are purchasing, to purchase my 250 Canadian dollar ticket, I think he would start scratching his head and being like, now if he offers, it's different. But if I just have an inability to pay for something, especially since I just got back from Tulum, this is something that he would probably want to know to decide if I'm even the type of woman that he would want to be with because am I mismanaging my finances? Like, what is going on with me? That's something that he would need to cover, which, is like $200, $180 US. So I've given you guys a whole lot of my business. Shout out if you're watching to the guy that I'm dating. You're the real MVP right now. I digress.
Now, when it comes to your current travel plans, I'm not getting in your detail of your business, but it's a little question here. So, the Miami trip that you just said, right? So he's paying for everything else. Now, is that something that he initially said, "Hey, I'll take care of everything else, but you gotta get your way down here," or that was like an unspoken thing?
I think it was an unspoken thing. Like I think my biggest thing was because I knew he was taking care of everything else. It would have felt ick for me to say, can you also throw in my ticket to get there? Because when we started talking about and planning the trip, like we literally started planning the trip and he immediately booked the hotel. Like he sent it to me. He's like, babe, we're staying here. He then sent me the screenshot of the Marlins tickets that he bought, right? He was asking me what section I want. Like he had already started to effectively start buying things. I don't know how comfortable I would have personally felt saying, well, since you're doing all of that, also buy my ticket. Because realistically, he can just go online on Google Flights and see that my ticket is less than 250 Canadian. So if I can't contribute 250 Canadian, when he's not asking me to do anything else, like he will pay for the Ubers. He literally was like, babe, I got everything. Don't worry. I don't know if I couldn't come out of pocket $250, I wouldn't feel good about myself when that man is like, and in addition, he's actually coming to Toronto 2 weeks from now, and he's taking me to a Raptors game and the Mary J. Blige concert. So yeah, if I can't come up $250, like I don't think I'd be worth dating. I digress.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, there will be some women out there that feel like if he's paying for everything else, what's another $250 for a plane ticket? Why can't he just buy my ticket for me? What's your thoughts on that?
Are you poor? Like, what are we talking? I'm an adult with a job. Like, first of all, I'm never gonna put a man in a situation, even if you said, babe, listen, like you pay for your ticket and cover dinner or whatever. I'd have been like, I got you. I know how much a basketball game costs. I know how much a baseball game costs. I know how much it costs for a nice dinner in Miami. This is not my first rodeo. And so even if he had said, babe, listen, I got this and I just need you to cover that, whatever, I'd have been like, cool. Because at the end of the day, it's either me spending and going on a girls' trip and spending $3,000 potentially, or me shelling out, I don't know, $400-500. I'm gonna take that all day, every day. It just makes logical sense. I no, I sorry, ladies, I'm not on that boat. Especially a man who again, it's long distance. So every time he sees me, there's money that he has to spend. Now I'm good.
All right. Got it. All right. So Mister said, if she doesn't even have 1,000 in the savings, I don't want her or her problem.
That part. That part. That whole part. Like I understand. Like if he's like, babe, let's go to Africa on a dime. Okay, like we're going to Africa next month. I might be like, yo, I don't have. Yeah, I might not have 3,000 just around that's sitting there that I want to spend. But $250 to go to Miami? Yeah, I got that. I'm good. We're straight.
All right. All right.
We're good.
All right, moving on. And like I said, maybe backtracking or whatever, depending on where we're at now, because we got past a lot of stuff, a lot of juicy stuff, I guess, you know what I'm saying? All right, so, I'm a laugh questions going to implement, your current friend, you know what I'm saying? But I hope he's paying attention, hope he's watching. All right, next question for you, right? All right, so, okay.
I'm ready.
So we had the conversation about the sex, conversation about finances, disrespect. And I would assume, knowing you already, I already know the conversation about kids has already been had already.
Yeah, ain't no kids coming at me.
Yeah, we know that. So if you either have your own already, that's already.
Yeah, come with your own kids. BYOK, bring your own kids.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, bring your own adults. Yeah, right.
Yes, basically, bring your own adults. Your own adult children. That part.
So we passed that.
Too old.
So, when you're dating somebody and you're really into them, right? Do you hint towards the marriage part, or is that a mutual conversation that you have, or that's something that you expect the man to lead with?
It's the second. It's a mutual conversation. Again, if I'm talking to you, you clearly know right away that for me, I'm dating with intention, and that intention is to be married. And so through that whole phase before we even get to that conversation, if you're not on board with the idea of marriage, we'll never ever get to the conversation, right? So for me, it's one of those things like it could be he mentioned something about a couple or we see something on the TV, like, oh, interesting, when I get married or when I was married, blah, blah, blah. I think I want to see how he reacts to that. Like, oh, marriage is, let's have the conversation. Oh, okay, great. And he just stands me off. So I'm not going to pre-plan when to have the conversation. I don't want to, if something pops up on TV or something comes up on Instagram or just in a general conversation, I do want to see how he reacts to that. I don't think it's for a man or a woman or whomever. Yes, the man is going to ask, but if I'm in a space where we can't even talk about the prospect of marriage, not you and I getting married, but just the idea of marriage and, if I were to get married, well, when I get married, universe, when I get married again, what kind of wedding I would be, how quickly I would want the engagement to happen, all of that stuff. If you're not even comfortable having that kind of conversation, then we definitely shouldn't even be comfortable having sex. Like, you can be all up on my body and sweat on top of me until you come, but you can't just have a general conversation about marriage. So no, we're gonna have that conversation whenever the subject comes up generally. Because there, ladies, there's a difference between having a conversation about you and that man getting married, or just having a general conversation about marriage. It's two different conversations. There's marriage, and there's, well, if you and I get married. I wouldn't necessarily do the if you and I get married if he hasn't already said something. So that's where I would draw the line. The general conversation about marriage itself and how I would see my wedding and where I want to go on my honeymoon and that type of stuff, absolutely. But hey, if you and I were to get married, I want him to broach that first because it shows his intentionality. I don't want to feel like I am hinting at him when I'm probably just having a general conversation. So
Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. Minister said in the chat, what did he say? What did he say? I was looking at it. Oh, he said about the kids. He said, if them kids not right,
I just saw it. We dated.
you see it? Okay.
And I hate not having the comments pop up today because that was hilarious. I am with you. If your kid ain't my, I'm gonna use that one. If your kid ain't my height, we ain't dating. It's gotta be my height or taller. Because what are we talking about?
You gotta be careful now because it's food they're eating now, and some of the kids are.
That's true.
And they
that
still
is true.
14 years old.
You are right. I am only 5'5". My former stepdaughter was taller than me. You are correct. So I'm with my little 5'5" ass. Let me not adopt that one. I'm gonna let you keep that one, Mr.
Yeah. You have to be able to buy. You have to be able to buy your own drink. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, the state has to give you your own ID with like a picture on it. So at the very least, you get a driver's license at 16 in the U.S.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll at least be able to get that. I'll take 16 and above, but anything below that, yeah, I'm not trying to be stepmommy.
Got it. All right. How important is fitness in your relationship?
Oh my God, super important. And I'm not saying he needs to come as Mr. Muscle Man, but he needs to be, if he's not in shape now, he needs to be willing to do health things with me. So I'm the person who loves to walk. Like when it's warm weather, I will walk for miles. I want to hike. I want to run. I want to go to the gym. Like I just want to do stuff. And if you can't walk up a flight of stairs without stopping and wheezing, like you're not, I'm sorry, like you're not the man for me. Plus, like a black man's health is so important, right? Black men are dying from a lot of preventable diseases because of what you consume and your weight and your health. And my biggest thing is I want my man around for the longest time. So it's not about you necessarily fitting a prototype of what, a man should look like. We're not all looking for Boris Kojo or anything like that. You just Alba, but we want you to be in shape because I actually want you around for a long time. And that is, all aligned with, how you take care of yourself. So that's how I look at it.
All right.
I want to run a marathon with my man. Like I want to do a marathon. Let's go run a marathon and say that we did it.
A marathon? Hold on. Have you ran a marathon yet?
I haven't yet, but I want to. I think we'll start with a 10K and work our way up. A couple goals.
Okay, then half marathon.
Yeah, a couple goals. Right? I never said like tomorrow, but like we have a couple fitness goals that we want to achieve. Right? Let's get running up those mountains to get that all together. Do some stuff at a higher elevation. Make ourselves, good, and then get into, the 10K and the stuff. Couple goals, man. Couple goals.
Yeah, because I ran a half marathon, and I don't think I'll ever do a marathon. That half marathon was enough. So you talk about marathon, I'm like, shit. I'll drive a marathon, but as far as running it,
I'm not driving a marathon. Listen, we can have a couple goals, whether we achieve them or not. But hey, if you know you want to run a marathon, you'll do the things that will prepare you to run a marathon, right? So that's why I look at it. A little trick.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. A juicy question here.
I'm ready.
All right. So everything's going great. We talked about a lot so far.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on men who are mama boys?
So I'm going to start with love a man who loves his mama. But a man who loves his mama is different than a mama's boy. So a man who admires his mother, respects his mother, holds his mother in high esteem, a mother who, a man who might understand the wisdom of his mother, and so if he's, having difficulties, he will go to his mother for advice and, hear those things. But a man who's a mama's boy who can't make decisions without his mom, all that stuff, that's not for me, because I truly believe, again, when you find a wife, you find a good thing. When you find a husband, you find a good thing, and you're supposed to cleave to your husband and wife. And so if every decision in our household is contingent on what your mama has to say, we are not compatible. Because I would, daddy rest in peace, I would go to my father for guidance when he was alive, but my father never ever would say, well, this is the decision that you have to make, baby girl. No, he would say, here is my advice, and use that as you please. But if I took the advice or not, I could still come back to him and have a conversation. Daddy, I didn't take your advice, and this is what happened, and we would talk through that. So for me, just my personality, and what I'm looking for in a man to lead my house, I don't know if I can consider you a great leader if you need to go to your mommy for stuff. I don't know if I have that level of respect for you if your mommy still helps you make, important decisions in your life. That's just me.
Okay.
That's a great question.
All right. So another question here. What are your thoughts on your man who may have a great job at the current
Mhm.
moment? Right, great career. He has a great career, not just job. He has a great career. He's made good money, X, Y, Z. But he doesn't have any aspirations to do anything additional outside of that. Is that something that's a deal breaker for you, or that's something that, hey, as long as he's working, he's happy with what he's doing, I'm cool with it? What are your thoughts?
So when I hear someone has a good job, it already says to me that they had to work in order to get to that good job, because nobody just necessarily, I mean, I don't know these kids these days, but I had a daughter that graduated not too long ago, and she just didn't jump and find herself in some amazing six-figure job. That's just not the reality unless you're going to law school or medical school or something like that. So for the average person who just has a university degree or might have a postgraduate degree, outside of the professions I name, they would have had to put in work to get to where they are to make six figures, right? Whatever six figure you might be in, whether it's 150,000, 250,000, like you had to work to get there. So if he decides at, 40, 45, babe, I'm happy with this. This is giving us the life that we want. And I honestly don't want to have to work any harder, because they'll demand more of me. And if they demand more of me, it means that we don't get to live the type of life we want because I have a more demanding job. I get that. I actually just recently had that conversation with the guy I'm dating. I said, listen, I don't have a desire to go much further than this in my actual career, because I know the demands that come after that. Because I'm not willing to give them that, because I need that to put into the things that I want to do, right? That I want to be able to do on my own. And in order to go to the step after that, they're going to require a heck of a lot more from me than I want to give. I still want to travel. I want to do that. So I think there has to be reasoning behind it. But any man who is ambitious enough to get to having a good job, it's not that he's lazy. He just understands he doesn't want to give any more than he wants to, because there'll be more required of him. And ladies, remember that the more our men make, the more is required of them. And I'm not talking about you ladies who date drug dealers and scammers in Miami, and people who sit around and call themselves content creators but aren't actually making any money doing content, right? Like, I'm talking about men who get up and go to work, right? Black men who get up and go to work in a very white corporate society. So I completely get it. If he wants to come home and be like, babe, I'm shutting off, I'm playing this video game, I'm going to go play ball, I'm going to go do whatever. I don't want to be the CEO because this is what's required. I'm fine with being like the men I date, they're not bums. So I've dated VPs and business owners and regional managers and those types of men. So I'm never dating a bum. But if he says, I don't want to be the CEO, I don't want you to be the CEO either. Because guess what? It means you got to do CEO shit, like when we're on vacation and work calls. We can't do the things we want to do because you're sitting in the hotel room taking a call. that's just me personally, because being in the corporate world myself, I know what it takes to be at certain levels, and sometimes we don't want that. I'm living my best life right now. That was a very long answer. But, yeah.
It's all good, and that's your answer. So nothing wrong with that. All right, we got our first question from the chat.
I'm ready.
Mr. asks, how did your exes experience you? And what do you think they would say it was like dating you?
It depends on the ex and the stage in my life. I think dating me in my 20s versus my 30s versus my 40s has been different. I would say the thing that I've had to work on the most is my patience. And so a couple of my ex would definitely say that I probably could use more patience. And my impatience could have been an impediment to that relationship. But on the positive side, they would say that I definitely left them better than I found them. Because good or bad, and this can also be a bad thing, when I come in and I see something that needs to be done, I get it done, whatever that thing might be, whether it's doing your resume, whatever it is that I feel like it's necessary. It's actually funny enough, going back to Twin's question before about getting us to that next level. Like I'm there to help. I'm there to chip in. We're partners. Let's do it. Let's get it. But within that, I also have a level of impatience, which sometimes can impede some of that progress moving forward, which can be annoying for a man. So I think depending on the man and the stage of my life, I don't think any of my exes would say that they've had a terrible experience, but it depends on what stage they were dating me. I would say my most recent ex and my ex-husband would probably give me rave reviews, because those are the two men that I really came into their life and really work. And I left them better. What happened to them after I was gone, but I left them better than I found them. But you might find somebody out there that says she's a total bitch. That was like 20 something year old me. 20 something year old me probably was a complete bitch. I thought it was a shit.
I think
all nothing.
20s were a different person that we are now.
Listen, my titties were perked up, the ass was assing, the waist was wasting. I thought it was hot shit in my 20s. You tell me shit, so I was probably a complete bitch. But but now she's grown. This is why we keep it real, ladies. I'm being honest.
So,
great question, Mr. Mister.
Right. Next question I have for you. What are your thoughts on your man, future husband?
Oh.
Right? Right. And this ain't gonna do with the current person, okay? So I don't want you to think I'm asking questions.
No. Just future husband, whoever God and my daddy. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him and having his friends that's girls? Friends that's girls. I'm not saying girlfriends, but girls that are friends that he may hang out with. What are your thoughts on that? Now that you're in the picture, now that y'all are, like I said, y'all going a different wave now. How you thoughts on? Hey, I'm going to hang out with so we're gonna go kick it and we're gonna chill. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what's interesting? I've had a couple of male friends that personally, when they got into relationships, serious relationships, I personally stepped back. Not because I thought, that their women would be jealous or whatever. I just thought, out of respect for where you're clearly going in this relationship, I don't want this woman to feel uncomfortable with the closest of our friendship. We're always going to be dogs, but at the end of the day, we can't be going to dinner like we used to. We can't just be hanging out like we used to, because you have someone that you're doing that with. So my hope was that any woman in his life would kind of feel the same way. Hey, you've met Toshiba now, and it's clear that you guys are going in something. Let me step back. Or, I would love for us to do things together. Right? Like, hopefully they also have their partner and we start doing couples things. I'd look at it a certain type of way if he had a whole bunch of single women friends. Like, what are we talking about? Like, if all of his homegirls were just single and they were just calling my men at all times because they needed their, I don't know, the battery in their smoke detector change, or needed to paint their garage real quick. Um, like, it's a no. But if I won't lie. I would look at the relationship status of the friend. I would find out more about the friendship. I would see how she moves when I'm around, because real recognize real, game recognize game. And if she's acting a certain way, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Like, I was observing her, not saying not to be friends, but you may want to watch that. And if at any point I felt that these friends were an impediment to our relationship, I would have to say something. Now, I'm not giving you an ultimatum, um, but at the same time, I'm also not going to be in a situation where I feel uncomfortable in our relationship because of your friends.
So what happens? And I'm still on the same topic.
I'm
He's
ready.
adamant that these friends are just friends. We grew up together in the sandbox. My mom and her mom, they're best friends, and we never did anything, not a kiss, a hug, and nothing. We just this good friends. She's like a sister to me.
Am I meeting these friends? Like, if I'm not in a position where, because if these are your friends, I tell the men in my life, here are my core friends. Anything happens in my life, here are the core people that you know to contact or reach out to, or any of that, because these are my day ones. These are the people that are going to be here, be in the wedding, all of those different things. So yeah, great, you're homegirl. I'm all about it. I get that. I've got male friends. But if I'm not able to meet her for any reason, she's not able to come to our home, have dinner, hang out, any of that, then that's not your friend, because your friend generally wants happiness for you. Your friend wants happily ever after for you. And any woman who's like, no, I'm not ready to meet her, or is just shady about that, that would definitely not be his friend. She's waiting around for him to see that she's the one. But if the woman's like, cool, absolutely, I can't wait to meet Toshiba. Let's do this, let's come over to our house, and so forth and so on. Absolutely. Because some women and guys are just waiting for you to see that they're the one.
Got it. Okay. All right.
And my man's not about to go paint no garage real quick, just so that we're clear.
That part. All right. New question coming in from King Cash Court. He said,
okay, I'm ready.
how do you show your potential partner that you're intentional with them, other than saying you are and are spending time with them?
That is a great question, King Scratchfoot. I think one of the things that is so important is that we watch people's actions, and again listen to people's words. I'm very big on that. So for me personally, is one, am I paying attention to the things that are happening in your life? Right? Am I observant? So I will give you an example. So I was watching a show, and the gentleman was talking about the fact that he didn't know what he wanted in a woman until he met a woman who gave him what he wanted. He was talking about the fact that when he went to dinner, every woman he went to dinner with, after dinner he would pick his teeth with his like hands. Um, and he went to dinner with this one particular woman, and he did it. On the second date, when he was about to do it, she stopped him. She went into her purse and she took out a toothpick and she gave it to him, because she knew, she'd observed that that was something that he clearly did after he had a meal. I am that woman. I am going to observe who you are, what you do, and already be thinking about, how do I try to make his life better? I'm going to listen to what it is that you say, and I'm going to ask questions about it, especially when it's something that it's clearly important to you, because you can tell the difference between something that's important and not important, right? I'm going to ask questions about it. I'm going to like really be there. I'm going to be there for you even when it's not convenient for me, right? Because people can make time for you when it's convenient for them, but it's another thing for me to make time for you when it's not convenient for me. So hopefully that answers your question, King's Cash Court.
All right. Real quick, go back for a second. Mr. said, we talking about the girlfriend, right? The guy who has girlfriends, friend girls. You know what I'm saying? He said she's like a sister to him, but she has a snatch of waist and a set of triple D's. Anyway, we'll move forward.
I get that, friend. Mine's are, yeah. Anyways, we could digress. We move on. That's why I stepped back, because one of my guy friends said if I introduce you to my future wife, she's gonna know I probably want to fuck. And so before we even get into that conversation, I was like, you know what? I hear you. I see you. I'm a step back, lean back. So I leaned back out of that friendship because I didn't want him to have that conversation.
All right. King, with another good question. It said, what is your priority love language?
So my love language is our quality time and words of affirmation. They're basically neck and neck. I'm a big baby when it comes to like I when I am with my man, I literally want to crawl into his skin. Like I am that. I won't say that I'm clingy, but I'm so affectionate. Like I just want to be in your space. We don't have to be doing the same thing. You could be playing video games and I got my, legs on you and I'm doing content creation, right? Like I just like to be in my man's space and I like to hear great words. Like I'm not a gift person, I'm not that. But when my man speaks life into me, because sometimes we need that. Twins, with the corporate job and all the different, endeavors that you do, every once in a while you just want somebody who speaks life into you. And that's why, that gentleman that I told you about that went and actually bought my book, it said something to me. It really did something to me. It was him speaking life into something that for me was a passion. And it was a bit like of a, when you're an author, you're birthing something. It's your words and your feelings and all these things. For people, it's very vulnerable, right? Because people are judging my words and all that stuff. So he almost spoke life into me as I was writing this new book. So that type of stuff is important to me. Good question again.
All right. All right. Let's see here. All right. Next question.
I know I'm looking at you like, what's in here? I don't even want to know. I feel I know it's Mr. and I can't even see what's on the screen. That StreamYard knew what it was doing tonight. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say it. He said,
What did you say?
wearing a backpack, but it's shaped like a Jamaican gal.
I'm dead. I'm dead. Good night, Mister. Go to bed.
All right. So let's see. All right. Moving on. Holy shit, we talk about a lot. And it's for me, it's a little bit hard because I know a lot about you already. Listening and be on the show, and before I was on the show, your last relationship. So some of the questions I already know the answer to. So it's like, okay, all right, let me think something creative at this point. Shit. No.
I'm an open book, so ask it all. Maybe the audience wants to know. Even if you know it.
Chat, throw it out there. Which they had. They've been coming in clutch too, so appreciate them, Minister and Cash. King. I keep taking that name up. King Cash. My apologies. Let's see what else. We already talked about the kids. We talked about sex. We talked about finances. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Health. We cover that. Friends. We cover that. Do you have guy friends and straight guy friends?
I do. Straight guy friends that I hang out with all the time. No. My best guy friend is gay, so that's why you said straight straight guy friend. I do have an ex boyfriend that I've known for the last. I'm 45. We've known each other since we were 19, 20. So 25-ish, 26 years. And people have always thought we should have gotten married and ended up together. When either one of us is not in a relationship, I do not mind hanging out. When I say hanging out, we're not having sex. We're actually just hanging out because you can imagine 25 years of history. I had a child, like all of these things have happened since then. But when either one of us are in a relationship, we back off. We'll check on each other. We'll do all of that, but we completely understand that we don't want our current partners to feel a certain type of way. Now, if we see each other up in person, Jamaicans say hail. So we're like, which is to say hello. So we'll hail each other up. But he's not coming over for dinner like he would if I was single. Like if I'm single, he's single, then we'll hang out on Sunday and have dinner. We're both Jamaican, right? Like we'll do all of that. We'll hang out. We'll see what's up. But when we're in relationships, I don't think it is fair. So he would be the only person I think any person in my life would be like, ooh, I don't really like this, and I'm aware of that, and so I pump the brakes on how close we are during those times.
Okay. Ministers asks, what's your everyday dress code when you're not at work? Now, honestly, I need you to elaborate on that question there.
Like, is he asking if I'm sitting around in like sweatpants when my man is around, or or what are we asking?
Right. That's what I said. I need a little bit more content to that. But let me ask that question. When you are with, okay, I'll say this. I know at work you don't dress. You probably just professional versus sexy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I had the zip thing up to here
Yeah,
today.
you about business. You ain't got time tied up, whatever at work, right? So, but when you're not at work and when you're not streaming, right? So when you home chilling with your boo, are you keeping it spicy? I'm not saying raunchy, but spicy.
Hold on 1 second. My headset just went
It
out.
was,
Can you
yeah,
guys hear me?
Oh, she's only having technical problems now, huh? Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? My headset went out.
Yeah, we hear you.
Hold on. Give me 1 second, everybody, so I can put this back because I felt like that question was juicy and spicy, and I somehow missed it. Come on, headset. Hold on. Crap. I think it's in, but hold on. Oh,
She
sucky
said,
now. Okay, forget the headset. Let me take it out. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you, but can you hear
Perfect.
us?
Okay. So the question is, when I'm just hanging out with my man at home, what am I wearing?
Yeah. So yes. So we know at work you're not sexy. I mean, you're just professional. We know on the show you're very just attractive versus getting the views. So, but when the cameras are off, are you keeping it spicy? Not raunchy, but spicy. Or you got,
Absolutely.
or what Mr. just said in the chat, or you walk around with a moo. Like,
What?
how you
No, I don't own any moo-moos. So let's start. I don't own any moo-moos. I'm not fat. But no. Again, I want my man to desire me. Like I am that one because again, my love languages are quality time and words of affirmation. Right? Like it's gonna be hard to hear you're beautiful all the time if I'm walking around with a moo and a bonnet on all day in my house. No, I'm not going to do that. I want my man to look at me and think I'm the most beautiful woman in his world, not the world, but his world. So absolutely. So, depending on the time, I've got, little booty shorts on and a crop top. I could have on, what I have on right now, but a house version. So I have house version cat suits and I have like on the show, on the show cat suit. So those want when I live with my man, I want him to like walk into the kitchen as I'm chopping up vegetables and just cut that. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to do all of that, right? But if for some reason my man thought, baby, I really want to see you moo because that turns me on, I'm gonna go out and buy that damn moo. But for the most part, we're keeping it because I want him to the heat to rise in his member when he sees me or thinks about coming home. And I don't know if that's achieved in a bonnet and a moo. So.
Got it. We got a good question here by King's Cash Court again.
Okay.
How do you deal with adversity / struggle in a relationship? Example.
Okay.
Your partner loses his job, gets down in the dumps.
So he loses his job.
He loses his job and he's down in the dumps, so in a bad place. How do you deal with
I think any man that I'm with would hopefully understand that he is not what he does, right? I'm not with him because of what he does. I'm with him because of who he is. Any man that I would date would have a plan, or we at least would have had a plan together in the event these things were to happen. You know, my biggest thing has always been, when we come together, how well can we live off of the lowest income of the two of us, right? So if I'm making 80,000 and he's making 130, we're not living off of 210, we're actually living off of 80, right? Because that 130 that he's making is what we're putting, or he might decide, babe, we'll live off 80 of my 130, but either way, we're literally taking one of our incomes and saving it to make sure that happens. I would want to know that I admire him, I love him, and he is not who he is. Now, I can only do so much for him, right? Because he's got to believe that in himself. He's got to believe that he's more than his job, but I know that I would be speaking life into him because it's a job. And if he got to where he was, he can get there again. And sometimes we just need a reset. Sometimes we need a reset. And if we needed to hold it down for 6 months or whatever, I think we as a couple would have been prepared for that. And that's why those financial conversations, like I talk about, have to happen earlier than later in the discussion, because those are the types of discussions we would need to have in the event one of us loses our job, or in the event he loses his job, because, you know, the men I date are generally breadwinners, right? Like, what do we do? And that's when we talk about, okay, so this is how we're going to ensure that we have a rainy day fund. So yeah, that's why those financial conversations, but I don't leave my man because he doesn't have, again, his job is not who he is. It's what he does. And I'm with him for who he is as a person. So, I mean, we'd be fine. We just, you know, take a little less vacations, you know, just bring our life down a little bit more. And then eventually listen, any man I date, he'll be fine after about a year. I ain't worried.
All right. And Mr. I think she answered that question that she had. He asked what was the time limit. You said about 6 months. But like I said, you just said that a year or two. So, but the main thing the main thing you said out of that is that when we sit down, have that conversation, we talk about finances, we talk about what we do in a scenario like that. So you kind of pre-planning on what it is. And that's something that all relationships need to do. And I'm gonna stop because I got a dating tip on that one. But go ahead.
I'm ready. This was so great. Thank you so much for asking these questions. If anybody has any more questions in the chat, and again, I am not speaking for all women. I know that I'm speaking for just Toshiba, but gentlemen, I do want you to understand there are lots of Toshibas in this world. I genuinely believe it. I am not a unicorn in any way, shape, or form. I believe there are carbon copies of me across this nation. I think if you are in a good space and you're ready and open, you can meet an amazing woman. And I think women, you can meet amazing men. I think you have to, somebody, I was watching something and they talked about the idea of, why do men always say that they want a woman who brings peace? And ladies, you have to understand that he doesn't want you. I'm going to repeat it because I said at the beginning of the show. A man doesn't want you to be his peace. He just doesn't want you to disrupt his peace. He has reached a point in his life where he's balanced. Like, peace is not as easy to come by as people think it is. When we're dealing with Twins and I will talk about it. We deal with the corporate world. And when you deal with the corporate world, there's a lot of things that come with us. You deal with divorces, you deal with family issues, you deal with children, you deal with someone. So when you get and you find that balance, that you're able to balance all of the things that happen in your life, and you get to that place where it's just like, you know what? It's happening, but I'm at peace and I'm going to go through this and I will have a plan. Anybody that comes in and disrupts that, you just do not have space for that, because you've finally gotten to a place that, like, you are so comfortable. So ladies, like, because I know I want peace. I will say that loud, and like, I do not want a man to disrupt my peace. So I think I really enjoyed this conversation we've had over the last weeks, because it's us listening to each other to understand and not to respond. So if there are no, are there any more questions in the chat? I'm like trying to see, but it's small.
All right. Not a question, but more of a statement that because we all wanted to know the time limit, right? So it's funny that, but he wrote this. Mr. said, 3 men from 3 different parts of the country who never met before, but yet we're all thinking the same thing. And the same thing was, so what's the time limit? How long does the man have? So, because as men, we know as men, and like I said, 3 different men. I never met these guys in person. You know what I'm saying? We all are thinking the same thing. Like, well, how long do I have to get back on my feet before you were like, I'm out of here before I check the deuces? And that's the struggle that we men have.
So for some ladies, it's different. For me, it would be a year. Like, I think a year is ample. And if for some reason you need a little bit more, then we need to reconsider how we're living again. Like, how do we make this? But they're also like, and let me also add, I'm not saying a year for him to sit around and play video games and do nothing. Like, that I can't do. I don't have that in me to do that for a year. But him trying to figure out his next step, does he want to start a business? Does he want to get into something else? Does he want to change his career? Does he want to, go into a trade? So he needs a couple of months of like, does he want to upgrade his skills? There's a couple of things, like, no one just loses their jobs and bounces back the next weekend. Like, okay, good. Especially if you've invested time and energy and stuff into a role. I don't expect it. It's like a marriage, like you're breaking up. So I don't expect my man to crawl out and a month later be like, yeah, back to my next job. He's going to mentally take some time. Does he need therapy? Do we need career counseling? There might be things that will take a period of time. Do we have to sue the bloody company? I don't know. Like, there might be all of these things that are happening. I think 6 months to a year is sufficient. I would say my top limit is definitely a year, and then we'd have to reconsider what we do next.
All right. Well, that's it. So we can get into the dating tips. And
Mister, get your dating tip. I'm gonna actually, if Mister, if you have a dating tip, I'm actually now holding my phone, as you can see in front of me, so I can read your dating tip. Since I've been talking for a lot of the show, I will have you do your dating tip, and I will do mine next.
Yes. So the dating tip I will have will kind of piggyback off the conversation we just had about the finances and the job, whatever. Fellas, regardless if you're in a marriage or if you're dating or not, once you have a significant other and y'all live in the same household, have that conversation about finances. Like Tashiba was saying, regardless if I make 130,000 and she make 80,000, y'all should schedule and budget y'all lifestyle of one income. Yeah. So if someone, loses their job, or if your wife gets pregnant and you have kids, you're not at work, y'all can still maintain the same lifestyle that you have of one income versus saying, 130 plus 80, we're going to do it big. We got 200. We're balling. But then when she's out, because 9 months is a long time, you know what I'm saying? Or, where case may be, or you lose his job, that will turn your family lifestyle upside down in a heartbeat. And these companies out here are not loyal. You can build a company for over 15 plus years. If they want to cut back, even if you may be a great employee, but if they need to cut back on money, they'll go down the line and just chop you. And it's not personal, it's just business. If you work in corporate America, you understand this. So that's my dating tip. Get your finances together and live with one income.
I love that. That is definitely my plan. Amen and hallelujah. I would say my dating tip to the ladies, watch what he says and what he does and make sure that they align. A lot of times we value attention over intention. And I've said this many, many moons ago, but it bears repeating. There is a difference between a man showing you attention and him being intentional about you. Showing you attention often comes through words, not actions. Being intentional is words and action. Start learning the difference before you give yourself to a man that you later have to come on Beyonce and use Ivy's internet and talk about ain't shit. That is my dating tip. And Mr. also has a dating. Oh, Pink Square Squirrel also has a dating tip. Okay, come through. Mister's dating tip. If you keep dating your type and it keeps ending in disaster, the problem is YOU. Either you don't recognize patterns both in yourself and in other people, or you're ignoring patterns. You need to reevaluate what attracts you and why you're attracted to people who are not good for you long term. Drops mic. That was an excellent one. I actually felt that one to my core. King's Cash Court dating tip. Transparency is key. Don't portray something you are not. Keep it genuine and consistent. It never ends well when you are playing a character.
Amen on that one.
Good dating tip, gentlemen. Thank you, twins, for your very insightful question. Thank you for those of you who joined us. Sorry for the issues I was having with the comments, but you guys came correct as well. Please make sure you like this show before you jump out. Please like. If you are not currently subscribed, also please subscribe, like, subscribe, and share this content. We need more people in the chat. We need more women engaging on this side of the internet in this discussion. Again, don't forget to check out the Sienna series and No Handouts for Black Girls on Amazon, and look out for my new book series, Love Rules. The first book is coming to you April 2025, which is next month. So watch out for that. Twins, last comments, last words.
Nope, I don't have anything. Y'all have a good night. Great show. And can we do it again next week?
Bye, everybody. Bye.
And salute to the fellas in the chat.